So Austin Ekeler just signed a new contract worth $24.5 million over the next 4 years, $15 million of which is guaranteed. And to be honest, I love this move from the Chargers' perspective. I think getting Ekeler, who is a very good running back, who has proven he can be a number one running back on a pretty reasonable salary, I think it makes a lot of sense. That's just over $6 million a year, and I mean, you'll spend double that for a number two receiver. So to me, I think running backs like Austin Ekeler are kind of undervalued in that sense. I think it makes a lot of sense to make this move. I definitely do like it from Los Angeles' perspective. Like, one of the things that I like about Austin Ekeler will be shown on display, where what's going to happen is that the Chargers' left tackle is going to go out to block that Colt who's right over there, but he's not going to block him out to the right side. Instead, he's going to try to basically get him to go like that. So the Colt is already going to be running to the inside of the tackle. So basically, I mean, you're just saying, okay, go ahead, go to the inside, that's totally fine. Because then what they're going to do is they're going to have a tight end go out, and he's going to block a linebacker along with your wide receiver blocking a Colts defensive back who's over there. So because of this, it could create a big gap for Austin Ekeler to run through, and it's actually going to work out pretty well. He is going to have a pretty big window to try to run through. It's basically, at this point, he has two options. He could go to the left or to the right. Either one is totally okay. It's all up to him. But what he's going to be doing here, what his dilemma is just what is he going to get more yards with? And clearly there is a Colts defensive back who's running in and trying to make a play. And so Ekeler says, I'm going to run away from you because that makes sense. Don't run towards him. But again, it's easy to look at this and say, oh yeah, just run to the inside. That makes a ton of sense. It's a lot more difficult to pull that off in real time, but Ekeler does read it in real time, runs through the right side, and picks up as many yards as possible. It's just a good, smart play, just good vision by Ekeler on that one, realizing the situation, realizing what you're supposed to do, and then executing, and also it helps that he has very good acceleration and can run through there very quickly. So the fact that he does that, I mean, that'll work in any system. I mean, a running back with good vision, no matter what kind of running play it is, it's going to help you to some degree. It definitely helps the Chargers a lot, and, you know, it showed it right there. There's also some other things that I like about Ekeler. Like on this play, it's they're going to have a little bit of a creative block where the left tackle is actually going to move over to block an interior lineman, and then the guard is going to block an edge rusher, which is a move you can pull off from time to time. It does make for a bigger gap. Obviously, the risk is that there is a small chance a defensive player just gets completely by you and is able to make a quick tackle and you lose yards, but, you know, I think it's a pretty good play. I like when teams do this fairly frequently because it can absolutely work. They'll also obviously have their tight end run out. He's going to block a Lion who is just off screen right now, and Ekeler is just going to run through the hole. Not too fancy. However, one thing you'll notice is that it is a big hole that he can run through, but also you look at Jelani Tavai right there. He's doing a great job of trying to run over and trying to make a play, trying to be able to make this tackle. And one of my favorite things about Ekeler, it might actually be my favorite thing about Ekeler, is his ability to not get tripped up. You know, there's some guys that go down easier than other guys. Some guys you have to basically just completely tackle. Other guys you can just sort of tap their knee a little bit and they're going to fall down. And you know, Ekeler is definitely much more in the first category than the second category. Tavai does create some contact, but it's nowhere near enough for Ekeler to get brought down. He is able to gain a lot more yards, and being able to do that makes a huge difference. I mean, that's the difference in gaining a couple of yards and in gaining 13 yards, which is a first down. I mean, that's huge when you can run the ball on first down and get a first down. That just does so much, because then in an opposing defense, you have no idea what's coming. There's nothing that you can say this is what they're probably doing. You're clueless at that point. However, let's be honest. We all know that Austin Ekeler is not getting signed just because he's a good running back. And while he is actually a very good halfback, I mean a very solid one at least, he had 557 yards last year, averaging 4.2 yards per carry. So that's pretty solid. You know, had 3 touchdowns as well. But if you look at his receiving numbers, I mean, they'd be good for a wide receiver. He has 92 receptions for 993 yards. And along with that, he had 8 receiving touchdowns, so 11 touchdowns total. And also, one crazy stat is he didn't have a single drop last year. So 92 attempts to make a catch, and he caught all 92. That's where he makes his money, you know. That's why they're paying him $6 million on average a year, because he can be such a good pass catching running back, even if he's not necessarily an elite, just straight up halfback. And also worth mentioning that he is a career 4.8 yards per carry guy. He had 5.5 in his rookie season, although that was just in 47 attempts. And then in 106 attempts in 2018, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry. So it is possible to think that maybe with him getting more of a workload, the average yards per carry did drop a little bit. But at the same time, he could definitely do both. But let's get into the passing game. And one thing that he was very good at was being able to catch screen passes. I mean, honestly, he really excels in the screen game. That's a key way that the Chargers were able to have some success when they did have success. I mean, they did go 5-11, but at the same time, they had a point differential of just -8, which is just one of the most absurd things that's ever happened in sports. I think almost up there with the time that the Chargers missed the playoffs despite having the #1 offense and #1 defense. That's another one of those just crazy, only the Chargers could do type of stats. But anyways, let's show this screenplay where it starts off pretty simple. You're going to have Ekeler run out to the bottom half of the screen. You have 3 offensive linemen run out to block those 3 Indianapolis players. You're also going to send some receivers deep. Hopefully that can push Colts players further deep, which then allows for your offensive linemen to get around and to be able to block. And so this is a pretty good play on paper. However, after the ball is snapped, you're going to notice an offensive lineman is in a bit of a pickle right here. Basically, a Colt did a great job of creating pressure quickly. And now if he reads that this is a screen pass, he could run over and basically just completely take the play away, because if he just pushes Austin Ekeler back, which you can do behind the line of scrimmage, then Rivers wouldn't be able to throw it to him. Or he could just run to Rivers, and Rivers might not be able to make this throw. So this is a dangerous situation, and what the Chargers offensive lineman is going to do is say, you know what, I'm going to just take you out of the way. It's better to make sure this play doesn't get blown up than to just make sure we have enough blockers downfield. So because of that, the first part of the play is going to work, but at this point, they have one less blocker downfield. So it's not going to work as well as they wanted it to work on paper. But what's going to be very interesting, I think, right here is that, so Austin Ekeler, he's back kind of in that first situation I talked about. We'll watch how Ekeler is able to still get around one of those tackles, which didn't create much contact, and eventually does get brought down, but gained way more yards than he otherwise would have if it was maybe a lesser halfback who runs screen passes. So that's why I like Ekeler. I like this signing. You know what? Sometimes football is simple. Just pay good players what they deserve, and honestly, I think they're probably getting more of a steal than anything. I really like this move from the Chargers' perspective. And one other thing he does do well is if you just put him out wide, he can actually be very effective. Like on this play, this is going to be a cover 1 hole that's going to be happening right here, and he's going to be running a go route. But again, this on paper doesn't look to be too good. There's a Lion who is 10 yards off of him right now, so if you run a go route and he's playing that far deep, well, I mean, he's going to be able to easily just stay back and it'll take that route away, which is important because this route is actually very good against this type of coverage in the sense that there's only one safety who's deep, so the sidelines will get open. But it's good against this type of coverage unless it's, someone playing that far off like a Lion is here. However, watch this move Austin Ekeler is going to pull off here. He kind of fakes as though he's moving in, which is going to draw that Detroit Lion further in, which is just a really smart play right there, and it's just a good route. Honestly, it's a good route for anybody, not just for a running back. This would be a good wide receiver route. Because then when Austin Ekeler turns on the Jets, he can accelerate so quickly. Phillip Rivers is then able to hit him, and they're able to pick up a huge gain just like that. And that's what he can do. I also think this is kind of one of those interesting things where this is actually where it becomes a benefit to be an undrafted free agent because, he doesn't have to wait 5 years like some of these first rounders do. Also, I mean, I always love stuff like this when a guy who, he wasn't just the most naturally talented guy that was just everyone clearly saw was going to go first round. He instead was an undrafted free agent. He had to work hard to get himself a contract. He earned a $25 million contract. So always cool when that kind of stuff happens, I think, when an undrafted free agent is able to actually make a really good contract. I mean, listen, pretty much everyone on earth would love nothing more than a 4-year, $25 million contract. So congratulations to him. Definitely deserves it. Great player. I think the Chargers fans are probably very happy about it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.